Okay, y'all. So, first off, welcome back to my life update. Okay, just figured I'd get that out of the way. So, again, let's just cut right to the point. Let's just dive right in. Let's keep my life update going. Let's keep it rocking and rolling. And I gotta say, I've got a lot of really cool stuff coming up. So stay tuned. So, the last video I made about this, we left off on a pretty unfortunate and sad note. Okay, so the first video talked about how for my first 6 years of my life I spent a lot of times in a hospital, in a doctor's office, that whole drill. And then at the age of 6, my grandfather passed away right in front of me, which was really quite unfortunate. And he's a huge person in my life, and a huge, made a big impact on my life. And so watching him pass away right in front of me was absolutely devastating. And then in the second video, I described how, a close friend of his that he met when he was in the army over in Vietnam, how he basically stepped in, again, made a huge impact on my life. Was basically my fill-in grandfather after my grandfather passed away. And then I described that story about how this guy, also passed away right in front of me. So, my life up to the age of 12 was really pretty devastating, to be honest with you. Two people passed away right in front of me. Had a whole bunch of health issues, okay? Spent a ton of time in the doctor's office and in the hospitals. And it's one of those things where, I never got kind of any slack because even though I've had all these negative things going on in my life, I never talked to it about anybody because, I just felt like nobody cared about it. And so essentially that means I had to keep a brave face on and essentially pretend like nothing even happened, right? So every day I went to school, I went to my clubs and activities and all that. And, all the time people ask me like, hey, how you doing? I'm like, doing great, how are you? And they're like, no, really, how you doing? I'm like, absolutely incredible. Living the dream. And I knew deep down deep down inside of me that, look, I've got, a whole bunch of things going on that, are really causing me like a lot of misery. But I'm not going to talk to you about it because you won't understand. And honestly, that's a huge mistake on my end because I should have started talking about this stuff a long time ago, right? And so I went through my middle school years. Again, not really talking to like anybody about this stuff except for a few folks in my family, and that's about it. Um, and so middle school honestly went by like pretty quickly for me. But the cool thing there were a couple things I loved about middle school. Okay, the first thing was that I got involved with the theater program. Okay, basically one of the best decisions I made in middle school. Okay, the theater program that we had a lot of popularity in my town, and I made a lot of great friendships out of that. So the first 3 years of middle school. Okay, so for my fifth grade, my sixth grade, and my seventh grade, I did like the stage crew stuff for the productions, right? A lot of the stage crew behind the scenes, making sure everything gets done properly, sort of deal, right? And then my eighth grade year, I was like, the heck with it. Like, I'm going to go for, a part in the play. I'm going to see what happens. If I get it, great. If I don't get it, you know what? The heck with it. I try, right? I'm putting myself out there, seeing what sticks in the wall, right? And so, just one thing I want to mention, while I go into the story, is that I love Elvis Presley, and I love his music. I think it's awesome. I think it's great. He was such an incredible artist, and for quite a while he was a great person too. But we kind of know what happens to him. And I just love that whole genre of music as well. Okay, so that's actually a huge part of the story because what I'm gonna say is that the part that I went out for. Okay, so I forget. I'm blank. Of course, I'm blanking on the name of the first play I acted in. But it was a musical that was kind of like it was kind of like Little Red Riding Hood, but it had a different twist. It had like the plot had a much different twist to it. Okay, so it was like Little Red Riding Hood, but it wasn't. Okay, so it did have some of the same characters in the musical as did the Little Riding Hood, but again, those characters as well had a different twist to it. So, um, so the part that I went out for, and was the Big Bad Wolf, Elvis Presley style. Okay, so as soon as I read that character description when I was going out for a part, I was like, oh my god, if I don't go for this part, I am literally the dumbest person ever. Okay, because that was like my that was me. Okay, a Big Bad Wolf mixed in with Elvis Presley, like you can't get much better than that. Come on. If you think there's something that's better than that, stop thinking. Okay, there's not. All right, that's like literally the best thing. Okay, at least in my world, anyway. So yeah, you guessed it. I went out for the part. I got the part, and honestly, I that was like the most incredible few months of my life up to that point. Okay, like that was just awesome. Okay, I was literally living the dream. Okay, that was for me a match made in heaven. Okay, I was on freaking cloud nine. I was just in a whole different world. All right, so I had a great time with that. Met a lot of incredible people, and the teachers that were like directing, helping out with the play. Again, incredible people, and that was one. That was basically a major way for me to because I was a very introverted person. I was a very quiet person. Definitely kind of kept to myself a lot up to that point. But that was something that really like brought me out of the shell, out of my shell, and that really helped me become the extrovert and the very very talkative person that I am today. Okay, and so that was one of the great things that came out of middle school. Another great thing, is that I ended up joining the ski club through my school, which is great. We went once a week for a few months during the winter, and again it was a great way for me to spend time with my friends for a couple hours every week, be able to just kind of decompress and plus I love skiing too, because we have a mountain about maybe an hour or so. Um, so that was cool. I keep getting text messages from a whole bunch of folks, so sorry. That's why I keep pausing. So skiing was great. Okay, I loved it. Awesome. Okay, and another really important thing that really helped me like become the person I am today too, especially for the middle school version of me, was the cross country team. I joined the cross country team not really knowing what to expect. And honestly, when I started running the cross country team, my sixth grade year of middle school, I loved it. It was like the greatest thing. Again, kind of like the theater program, where I was able to really come out of my shell, really become the person that I am today. And again, I met a ton of great people on the team. I met a ton of new friends. And again, some of those folks that I ran the team with and back in middle school are still some of my best friends today. And I'm still talking with them all these years later. I'm still talking with some of those folks. And again, the greatest people I've ever met. So, the last thing that really kind of helped me out my middle school career was I was able to get onto the National Junior Honor Society. Okay, and that was absolutely incredible. We did a lot of great work, a lot of great community service, and it was my 8th grade year where I was really kind of struggling with a little bit with my grades, and I kept working and working and working and working, and those grades weren't as high as I was wanting them to be, and it got to a point where the National Junior Honor Society had to basically have me interview with them to see whether I was still a good fit for them or not. I'm like, what are you guys talking about? I'm a great fit for this organization. If you haven't seen that now, then guess what? During that interview, I'm gonna show you and prove your darn booties why I'm the greatest person this organization has ever had. Okay, and so I went up into that room. I went into that room. Okay, there was the whole National Junior Honor Society board committee. At that interview, and I basically told them my life story. I'm like, hey, you know what? Like, up to this point in my life, okay, I basically told the stories I've already posted on this YouTube series. So I told them that, all those stories up to this point. I'm like, look, you know, throughout my whole entire life, I've never been cut any slack, okay? I've had all these crappy situations happen to me. And you know what I did? I just kept going. You know what I mean? Because I feel like a lot of days, people are just so stuck in the past that they have a difficult time trying to move forward and accept what happened and just continue their journey. And guess what? You know what I've learned? That the best days are yet to come. Okay, the best days are ahead of us. Okay, and so I told them, look, the biggest lesson is that you don't give up and you keep working at it. And especially nowadays, we are just so focused on the instant gratification that we don't want to. Folks don't want to work at things. Folks don't want to wait for things. They think that things are gonna come to them immediately. And guess what? Things don't come to us right away. Okay, the best things that we want in life, you actually have to work at. Okay, and if you tell me that if you don't want to work for something, then please do me a favor and not talk to me again. Okay, because all I've done at this point was work like crazy. Okay, and now, not only have I graduated from the. Okay, I'm gonna give you a little kind of insight on what I'm gonna talk about later on. Okay, I graduated from the best private high school in central Massachusetts, and I got my name up on the wall. Okay, again, I traveled to like several countries around the world before the age of 20. Okay, I have that series posted up in one of my playlists, so take a look at that. Okay, it's actually a really good series. No, I'm not trying to boast or anything, but I've learned a lot of life lessons out of that, so definitely worth taking a peek. Okay, and now I'm going to one of the best private colleges down south that has potential of becoming an Ivy League school in the next 20 years. Okay, so you're telling me if you think you're not gonna work and you're just gonna get handed things to you, and the good things are gonna come out of it. Guess what? I'm gonna be probably not the first person to tell you that. That's not the way it works. All right. Okay. In life, you gotta work hard. You gotta stay strong. You gotta stay true to yourself. And you can't let other people tell you who you are and to try to define who you are. Okay. Because if you can do that, then that's when great things will come in the days that are ahead. Okay, the best days, the best things are yet to come. And if you can do that, then truly the best days will be ahead of you and not behind you. Okay, and so that's what I told them. I'm like, look, I've done all these things. It's like, I've seen all these crappy situations. I've been in all these crappy situations. But you know what? I just kept going. I just kept working. I stayed true to who I was. I know I have a lot of potential in me, and I know you guys can't see that right now. But you know what? You guys will see it in me at some point down the road. So if you guys keep me on this National Junior Honor Society, then this will be the best decision that you will ever make. Okay? And guess what? I was just, talking from my heart. I wrote a speech out, and I was just telling it from my heart. And everybody in the room was crying by the end of my speech. And I was like, oh, okay, I didn't really intend on saying it that way. I was just being me. I was just really, giving them what I truly felt. And literally, 10 minutes after I left that meeting, they immediately called me back, 10 minutes after I left that meeting. And they're like, yeah, we're keeping you on. Don't worry about it. You're staying on the NJHS. Okay? So that's a situation where no matter what's happening in your life, you've got to stay strong, okay? Do not be afraid of anything. Because if you truly believe in yourself and if you truly believe in what you can do and if you believe in your future, great things are going to happen no matter what. I guarantee you, as long as you have the courage and the confidence to believe in yourself, nobody's going to stop you. Great things are going to happen. I mean, look at me right now. Come on. I wouldn't be here if I didn't believe in myself right now, okay? Seriously. So a lot of great things came out of middle school. It was really towards the end of my middle school career, and like a lot of really big, like kind of transformational things came out of my future. Came out for me and for my future. And the event that really sealed the deal for me was that was like the icing on the cake for all this stuff. Is when like in my like towards the end of my 8th grade year, obviously that was the time when we had to decide where do we want to go to high school. Okay, so for me, I was fortunate enough to have a lot of options for college. A lot of options for high school in terms of what I wanted to do, where I wanted to go. Okay, because I know our school district area had like the school choice, so you could either go to the public school in the town that I live in, right, or I could go to like a tech like trade school, in one of our neighboring towns, or we have like a lot of private schools in the surrounding towns and in the city I live nearby. Okay, so a lot of options. Okay, so I looked at the public high school in my town. Wasn't a huge fan of it. Looked at the trade school in the neighboring town. It was good. It was definitely something that was on my list of options. Okay, was definitely gonna consider it. And then I looked at a private high school, and it was also a private middle school as well. And it was good school. I knew a lot of people that went there, had some good things to say about it. But I was like, again, like the trade school. It was the second school that I put on that list of a list of schools where I was like, okay, I'll consider it. I'll pursue it and whatever. But then it wasn't until I saw the high school that I ended up going to. So I saw the high school I wanted to go to called St. John's High School in central Massachusetts, okay? It's in a town called Shrewsbury, Massachusetts, okay? And I saw this school, and as soon as I pulled into that school, I immediately knew this is where I'm going to go, and this is what I know I'm going to do incredible things here, okay? And I toured the school, and, they had their big touring day and all that, and it was the only school where I was like, yes, I know with the absolute courage and confidence in myself that this is where I'm going to school. Okay, it's going to be great. It's going to be incredible. And so I applied. I took the entrance exam. And I was extremely nervous. I'm like, I don't know if I'm prepared or not. But you know what? I stayed true to myself. I stayed strong. And I'm like, no, put that stuff on the back burner. I got this in the bag. I'm going to be the best student here. And I got accepted. And it was the greatest feeling in the world knowing not only did I get accepted, but my parents were willing enough to pay for me to go there. I was like, oh my goodness, this is going to be a great journey. So I will leave it on that note. I will actually leave it on a positive note too, okay? And guess what? There's a lot of great things to come in this video going forward. So without further ado, I will end it here. And until I see you again, peace out from the Stadium Dream Team, all right? I'll catch y'all soon.